I am blind. So even if I have a mirror in my dressing room, I am forced to exit the dressing room and show everybody what I'm wearing to seek their opinions. I'm wearing one of my Aritzia sweaters that I got back in 2019. I am not new to the Aritzia game. In fact, I'm Canadian. So I've been shopping Aritzia since 2006 when I got my first zip-up TNA sweater that I wore into the ground. That thing was my comfort sweater. It was one of those sweaters that had holes all over the cuffs by the time I was getting rid of it because I wore it and pulled it over my hands at school so much. I know all about the Aritzia dressing room experience. So I'll be honest, when I started seeing this discourse pop up online a couple years back about the lack of mirrors in the Aritzia dressing room, I didn't get it. First off, I thought it was so funny when all the LA girlies, I've been living in LA for 9 years now, all the LA girlies started talking about Aritzia like 6 years ago. And I was like, what's happening? Am I back in middle school? Like, it was so hilarious. And ever since it popped off in the US, I feel like people have been talking about the fact that they hate shopping at Aritzia because of the dressing room experience and the fact that there is a lack of mirrors in the individual changing rooms. Meaning, when you try stuff on, you are forced to come out into a big room with a main mirror and fight for mirror space and stand there and have everybody look at you. And it makes a lot of people feel uncomfortable. And I would hear people talk about it and like, okay, swipe away. Because I was like, eh. And I kind of thought it was just like, oh, well, it's not new to me. Like, I'm not surprised by this because it's just how Aritzia has always been. But then this morning, I clicked on a video of Sierra Schultze going into the dressing room at Aritzia. And in her intro, it was really funny because she mentioned the last time that she was there was way back when her and I did a video together. Oh, the guide dog's here. You have something to say about Aritzia? He says, I love shopping. We joke that Elton is not a Bernese mountain dog. He is a Bernese mall dog. Dude, you just swiveled my chair. Okay, cut. We'll be back. Okay, we're back. So yeah, we call him our Bernese mall dog. In fact, oh my God, when I got Elton and I went to the shopping mall with 3 different dogs, I had Scooter, Elton, and oh my God, what was her name? What's the word for friend, female friend in Spanish? Amiga. And so I had Amiga. And anyways, Elton came into Aritzia with me and we shopped together. And anyway, so I saw this video and she mentioned that the last time that she went was with me. And I don't know why, but in that moment, it dawned on me why the Aritzia changing room situation does not make me uncomfortable, because that's how I always shop. And it's how I've always shopped. I am blind. So even if I have a mirror in my dressing room, I am forced to exit the dressing room and show everybody what I'm wearing to seek their opinions. And I'll be honest, to me, it's so normal. And I have so many other issues in my life as a result of my blindness that is so low on my list of things that I even think about, because it's the only way I've ever been able to shop. I literally can't see myself in the mirror. Occasionally, I am able to bring somebody like my mom or my partner into the larger stall with me and my guide dog. I typically need the larger one because Elton's a big beefy boy and he can't fit in the normal size one, but some stores won't allow them to actually physically come in and help me, so I still have to step out. I do prefer when they do allow somebody to come into the room with me to help me, even just because it helps me like to organize what I want to put on and find stuff. But I understand not every store will allow it, and so in those moments I have to exit. That means I'm immediately inviting other people's eyes on me that I can't see. I'm immediately having strangers sometimes give unsolicited opinions. I'm immediately sometimes having store employees who perhaps work on commission coming and giving me their thoughts, also seeking the opinion of whoever I've brought with me, whether that's my fiance, my mom, a friend. And sometimes that's more vulnerable than others. I have literally had to do that trying on lingerie for obvious reasons. Way back in my early 20s, I was shopping at a Victoria's Secret with my boyfriend at the time, and they would not allow him to physically come into the changing rooms because it's like a safe space for women. And so that meant I had to traipse out in a bra to ask him what he thought. It obviously, I understood like wanting to make all the other women feel safe, but it meant that I felt unsafe because I had to exit and show people what I looked like. And it's really scary showing people what you look like when you don't know what you look like. I don't get to form an opinion before I leave that dressing room if I like it or not. If I feel confident, if I think it looks good, and then like show my friends like, "Ooh, what do you think? Isn't it cute?" I'm going out there and for all I know, it looks terrible and everybody's going to see that. And it's really interesting because there's very few people I trust. It is really hard being somebody who's blind and loves fashion so much because as much as there's things I can form an opinion about, the quality, the texture of the fabric, the cut, the quality of the garment, how it feels physically on my body, if it's comfortable, there's equally so much I actually just purely cannot form an opinion about. Does the color complement my skin tone? Does the shape or silhouette complement my body type? These are things that I don't know. Is it sheer? I can't tell those things on my own. And I will always need to seek other people's opinions to make that final decision. I am personally not somebody who would ever feel confident making a decision about buying a new item on my own. If I do online shop alone, I get those items in and I then immediately try it on for a trusted person for them to give me like their opinion and their lowdown. And it does suck that I don't get to make confidently my own decisions about my appearance. And the reality is nobody can ever be fully objective about their opinion. Like they will always have a bit of their own personal taste injected in what they tell me. And I've also had really negative shopping experiences where, you have the pushy saleswoman who's just telling you what they think you want to hear. And for the record, if you work in sales, I would much rather somebody who's honest when something doesn't look good, because then I'm going to trust you when you say it does, and I'm going to buy from you. If you just like hype me up and gas me up and tell me everything looks good, I'm not going to buy from you because now I just assume you're lying to make sales. So just a little tidbit. Same when I go to a restaurant. Like if I say what's good on the menu and you say everything, stop it. I'm skeptical. Like I want to be like, what would you pick? This, or this? And you to be like, the flat iron steak is like honestly not the best. I would definitely pick the bolognese over it. I trust you. Now I'm getting the bolognese and I'm seeking your opinion on other items on the menu. So I don't know. That's my take on it. But like I had an experience back in high school where I went shopping with two of my girlfriends. I had this experience twice actually, and like different friends each time, where I bought an item because all of them hyped me up. And then I got home and my mom was like, no. In one case, it was that the color doesn't look good on me. And funny enough, after getting my color analysis, I was told it was one of the only colors that wouldn't suit me. And it was the exact color of that sweater. And I had this like mental flashback. And then the other was a skirt that didn't suit my body type. And again, now as I'm older and I do research and I intellectualize these things and I look up like what suits a pear-shaped body type, it is one of the silhouettes that does not suit us. And I don't think by any means my friends were lying to me, but they weren't being as critical looking at me as they might be looking at themselves, determining if they would spend their money on it. My mom was able to be an honest mirror for me in those moments. I also had an experience back when I was being bullied where I went shopping with a group of girls and there was a graphic tee and they lied to me and told me something was on it that wasn't. And I didn't find out until I got home and showed my mom. And she told me what it actually said, which was like a pretty vulgar statement. And in moments like that, whether it was like a vicious, malicious like intent to harm me, or whether it was just like girly pops wanting to hype me up, it was this realization of like, I can't trust everybody to help me pick out items that suit me. And that is a vulnerable feeling. And that feeling does suck. And I think what's interesting about this Aritzia dressing room discourse is it is one of those moments where people are getting like a slight glimpse into the experience of shopping when you're blind. The fact that you don't get to make a firm decision either way before you walk out. That when you walk out, you feel vulnerable and exposed to other people's opinions. And it is hard, but at the end of the day, you still get to stand in front of the mirror and make a completely independent decision on how you feel in that item. And that's something that I will never have. Obviously, as always, like I'm just sharing one perspective as one blind person who is extremely passionate about fashion. Not every blind person will feel the same way that I do about shopping, and I welcome everybody's opinions in the comment section to share your perspective and experience with stuff like this, as well as if you're sighted and have shopped at Aritzia, like how it made you feel. But I guess I kind of just want to like sit down and have this conversation because I think it's an interesting moment where it's this small experience that you might have that is 5 minutes for you. That is my everyday getting dressed. That is my every store I walk into going shopping. And how can we find these little moments in our day-to-day lives where our discomfort can remind us of other people's lived experiences and be that moment of like bridging gaps and building greater understanding? I have so much more I could say on trying to put yourself in other people's shoes and develop more empathy and compassion and understanding for other people's lived experiences. But I feel like that will just be an entirely separate Molly Rambles video. I know it's a shorter one today, but this was just like a random tidbit that kind of like popped into my mind. And I was like, I'm sitting down this afternoon to film anyways. I might as well have this discussion and like surface it as some food for thought for people to munch on. Okay, thank you so much for watching. I'm excited to read the comments and hear your thoughts on this one. And until next time, you can click over here to watch another video I recently posted, or over here for this one that you might like. Okay, bye.